What is going on, everybody? It's Jason Aponte, Brad Graham, back again for yet another State of the Franchise episode. And Jason, it's been a wild ride, not only the state of the 49ers, but just life in general. But considering those things, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good. We have things that we want to talk about. We have things that I'm sure people are here to be tuned in about. But I would be remiss again. I did this on my show yesterday and I spoke about it. But I'd be remiss today to gloss over the thing that is really weighing on my heart, the thing that is really on my mind. And that's a tragedy that happened in Texas in the elementary school. We're here to talk about something largely sensationalized, and there's football stuff to talk about because there was an OTA. But as a father, and you're a father as well, many of our viewers are parents. I have a tough time worrying about those things on the heels of the tragedy that has happened in Buffalo. People being shot at at a shopping center. In California, people being shot at a church, innocent kids in an elementary school. And if I sound a little choked up, it's only because I just saw tweets showing some of the kids that lost their lives. And I can't imagine what's going on, what they're feeling. So we'll talk about the stuff that, you're here to, hear us talk about. But I have a tough time starting without speaking about that first. Brad, I'll pass it to you if you have any thoughts or anything like that.
Of course, man. Like, dude, seeing you getting shaken up, bro, it's getting me shaken up. Obviously, we're a football program. We're here to talk about football, but sometimes life intersects with those types of things. And you spoke about it. You got a beautiful daughter. I got 3 kids. I actually got one on the way.
Oh, wow.
So
Congratulations.
thank you, brother. So this resonates. This is home for both you and I. I hug my kids extra hard today. Gave them extra kisses. Gave them extra attention. It's just one of those things, man, that just really, again, there's a lot of drama going on right now at San Francisco 49ers and what have you. But those types of things really put it into perspective. And the tears that you're showing, man, it's what this life is about. Like, we can get on here, we could talk this, we could talk that, but ultimately at the end of the day, man, people have been affected, and you can see how it's not only affecting you, affecting me, but affecting everyone else. And we can get on here and we can hoot and holler about this and that and the other thing, but at the end of the day, man, like, we just got to do better, everyone collectively. And it's just an unfortunate time, man. It's just really, really unfortunate.
And I don't want to turn this into, a discussion about things that I haven't necessarily researched myself. I don't know what the solution is. It has to be something. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you what exactly it is, because I want to normalize saying I need more information. I need to start
Right.
looking things up. And it's getting to a point where my daughter's going to go to school soon. And, and those people weren't able to pick their kids up. And I can't imagine that feeling. And again, what we're talking about and what we're about to talk about is trivial
Yes.
in comparison to
100%.
what's been going on. And I literally, right before we got on, I was in a good mood, ready to talk. And we were going to talk about this. We talked about this before, that we were going to discuss this. We're going to open the show with this. But seeing the faces of the kids and the people saying, my sister's in heaven, my daughter's in heaven, it just hits different. And yeah, sorry to be so heavy, but I couldn't in good conscience do the show started without talking about this.
Dude, absolutely. And of course, do not apologize, man. This is real. Like, I've been communicating with people, through my platforms, and I had someone talk to me today. Like, my kids are homeschooled, so I don't have to drop them off. I didn't even think about it from that perspective, but one of my guys dropped in and was like, Man, I hugged my daughter super hard when I dropped her off at school today, and I didn't want to let go. And I was just like, holy crap. Like, again, I have the luxury of seeing my kids around the house every single day, and I didn't even think about it from that particular perspective. So, bro, it's heavy, it's real. These are the real things that matter, obviously. And again, what we're about to talk about is going to be super, like you said, trivial at the end of the day. And we're seeing people get real upset about it. We're seeing people go after each other, discredit intelligence, discredit other things for, I guess, having an opinion one way or the other. And I think this overall is just another reason to just kind of ground ourselves, kind of understand that, hey, ultimately, we do want to recognize those who lost their lives. I believe there was 21 individuals who lost their lives, a majority of them children and a school teacher. And it's just absolutely gut wrenching. And it's just a reminder, like, we don't have to get mad at each other about these things, about that we're going to talk about here soon. But it's heavy, man. And I feel for you. I feel for everyone in this situation because lots of people have been affected, and it's not a singular situation. It's stacking. So it's been crazy, man. But anything else that you wanted to kind of touch on before we
No,
keep
we're
going?
good. Hug your kids, hug your family. This is there's few places that you can go now at this point that feel safe. If it's not a grocery store, a church, an elementary school at this point, I don't know what the solution is. Just do something, and that's it. That's all I'll say. And we could, we can talk about the other stuff.
Absolutely, man. Obviously, there's a lot more important things going on in life right now, but we will talk about what's been going on with the state of the 49ers, state of the franchise, and just what's going on in 49ers land. And obviously, like you mentioned, there's OTAs that went on. There's
Hey,
practices.
football,
We saw Trey Lance. We saw helmets. We saw green grass. I got to see
pecking
offensive
order,
line drills going on, man.
pecking order in certain areas of position battles. There's a lot of football to be talked
100%. We
about.
saw we got a starting offensive line. Like, we started to see football, things that we've been talking about, discussing, going back and forth for some time. But now that isn't even the main point
Mhm.
of discussion
We're
right
not
now.
talking about
Like,
that. Yeah.
so we have to we can't bury the lead. We
Nope.
understand why people are here. We understand what people want us to talk about because everyone's talking about it. TMZ, whatever
Barstool, Bleacher
major
Report,
outlet, Bleacher
everything.
Report,
Yeah.
everyone
This is
has
not trending on 49ers Twitter anymore.
no.
This is national media stuff now.
And it's national media. And again, of course, we'll bring people in if you maybe don't know what's going on. Grant Cohn, Sports Illustrated, Javon Kinlaw, San Francisco 49ers have gone back and forth. It started yesterday at practice. It transitioned to a live show that seemingly spiraled a bit. Uh, and now we're dealing with the repercussions of that. Again, I'm sure most of you are caught up to speed and understand what's going on. But now the amount of players that are coming out to speak about this, again, it's TMZ. Like,
TMZ, Barstool, Bleacher Report, that's national. That's national media. That's the stuff that gets sent to your phone. Like, you guys have Bleacher Report on your phone. If you're a 49er fan, you got that sent to your phone. Barstool is talking about it. And TMZ, now it's national. TMZ, everybody sees that. Whether they pay attention or not is something different. But yes,
and it's wild because I actually saw the whole thing unfold like in real time
live.
and live. And it's crazy because I'll be honest, like, I don't watch Grant, but again, I saw that he was on live and he was at training camp. So I'm like, oh, what does the guy have to say? I popped in and he was closing it down, and I was like, oh, I missed it. And then that's when Javon entered the situation. And I live tweeted, this is probably the craziest thing that I have ever seen in pro sports. And there have been I mean, it in a certain sense. Like obviously we've seen some crazy things in pro sports, but when you like think of like the Antonio Brown saga, you think of those types of things that have gone on. It's unprecedented seeing a player and a journalist who covers the team daily go have those types of conversations, right? So obviously, I know you've watched it. So what was your overall just thought process when that whole went down? That whole thing went down.
So it's funny. I actually watched the instant reaction because, regardless of what anybody wants to say, Grant is entertaining. And whether you want to admit that openly or not, because there's people that hate him and watch him, that's fine. You don't have to openly
He
admit
has
that
hate
here.
watchers. It's crazy.
Yeah, you definitely they definitely has people that watch him to hate him, right? Like,
Yeah.
and as part of the stick, jokes on you. But I watched the first 5 minutes. I wanted to hear what he had to say about Kinlaw. I was aware of the video that he posted it after at the field, everything. I was aware of that. But I watched the first 5 minutes after Kinlaw went off. It's later on my side, and I'm busy moving, I'm busy packing, things like that. I got to get up early with Averly. So I went to sleep. I went to bed. And my eyes open up at 3 a.m. And I roll over and I look at my phone. And my phone has 65 text messages, 275 Twitter notifications, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't drop a banger. Let me go look. I didn't drop a banger. I dropped a banger today. If you guys saw that or whatever about that. But I looked and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And everyone's tagging me. Everyone sent it to me, everything. And I look at it and I watch the whole thing happen. And let me just say this. There's blame to go around on both sides. And this is me as a friend of Grant Cohn. I am not an internet friend of Grant Cohn, by the way. We are friends in real life. And
y'all
the good
linked
thing
up
about
last year at training camp.
Yes. And the good thing about friends is you can tell friends when you disagree with them and they're wrong. And that's why me and him are friends. But I don't do it openly. I text him and I tell him, bro, I disagree with you here. You can't do that. You can't say that. And we have discourse. That's the difference. Grant's not my internet friend. We're friends. And we disagree. Much like when I'm on his show, which is why he brings me on. We disagree. I disagree with the way that he handled it. I disagree with the way that Javon Kinlaw handled it. I'll tell you this, though. I am not about to sit here and tell Javon Kinlaw how he should feel about criticism. You know why? Most of the time, I have a problem with this. I'm open about this. I have a big problem with this. When someone comes at me on the internet on some bullshit, I answer and I fire back. And people always tell me, man, you got to have thicker skin. You can't let people get at you like that. And they're right. In the same way, Javon Kinlaw needs to have thicker skin. But at the same time, I am not about to tell a grown man how he should feel about criticism that is thrown his way. And another thing, you don't know what that man is feeling in that moment. There are days when people say the most out-of-pocket shit to me on Twitter, and I look at it, and I just are like, you know what? Today I'm good. Life is good. I'm not answering. Catch me on the wrong day, and I'm going to fire off on you. Catch him on the wrong day, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. There was mistakes on both sides. It can't be handled that way, right? And I think Javon knows this. And I think if he had to do it again, he wouldn't do it again that way. I think that. And I think if Grant had to do it again, he wouldn't have done it that way, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, it sets a bad precedent. If you're knocking hats off of guys' heads when you see them at camp, he's media still. You can't do that. You got to be more professional. Now, at the same time, you see many people rushing to his aid, his teammates. Good. The locker room is tight-knit. That's what you want to see. But there were mistakes on both sides. Grant shouldn't have made that video and then said, well, what did I say wrong? Oh, he has 80-year-old knees.
List everything that he's gone after Javon about.
You can't say that. You're poking the bear after
100%.
that, okay? Javon, if Javon wanted to go onto his show, because we've seen it, Richard Sherman ethered Skip Bayless with words. He didn't yell about fighting. He didn't intimidate. He used words.
Mm-hmm.
Kinlaw could have jumped on his show and said, I have issues with this, this, and this, and this is what you said. And he could have done that and made his point, I feel, more than something that we know that's obvious. The man is a 6'6" giant who would put any of us in the dirt by accident. We get it. You don't gotta show us that you're tough. You don't have to show that to us. We know, bro. You play NFL football. You're a giant. So it's like me pushing around a 7th grader or an 8th grader. Hey, bro, what you gonna do? Yeah, we know you're not gonna do nothing about it, but you don't get cool points for that. If you wanted to state your point, he could have stated his point. Mm-hmm. And that's all I'll say. And then we do have some breaking news on this also. We're going to be the ones to break this, okay? But I'll let you get your thoughts off before we do that.
I mean, so I look at it like this. Obviously, Grant Cohn has made quite the reputation for himself, and we all know why. There's a specific way in which he goes about his journalism and the way he talks about the San Francisco 49ers. And it's done in a specific way. I think we understand what that way is. And we understand that way rubs players the wrong way. And I think when you look at a lot of the comments that we've seen from the players today, that's what they're saying. None of them said they are above critique. I think we can all both agree that critique comes with the territory. Again, I've been in locker rooms, again, never to that level that they've been in. But when I make a mistake, my coach ripped me. And he let me know, and we rewound the tape and just watched me make the mistake over and over again because he's trying to drill it into my head. Hey, don't make that mistake. So no football player is above critique. They're used to critique. It comes with the job. They're critiqued every day on everything they do, whether it's drills against pads, whether it's 9-on-7, whether it's 11-on-11, or whether it's on Sundays during the game. So they're not above critique. But I will say there has been a path in which Grant follows. We all understand what it is. And it's clear that it's reached the wrong one, as they say. I can speak from my personal experience. When I had Mike McGlinchey on last year, I think it was during OTAs in 2021, and I interviewed Mike McGlinchey, I had to shut the comments off. The reason I had to shut the comments off is because of the way Grant reports on Mike McGlinchey by calling him names, Mike McFloppy, whatever you call it. Is he above critique? Absolutely not. In 2020, Mike McGlinchey struggled. He had issues with his pass sets. We identified those issues and said, hey, he needs to get better at this. And guess what? In 2021, he did. But you can say that. But then there's a different way in which you say it. And so that's a perfect experience of just my experience running content and how Grant and the way he goes about his content affects me and what I do, just from a personal experience, right? So I think we can understand that that's at play. And I would agree with you too. 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Nope.
Just because Grant went about it the way he went about it doesn't mean that what Javon did and the things that he said, and he was very emotionally charged, doesn't mean that was the right way to go about it. Because the point that I've been trying to make is he could be 100% justified in how he feels based on the things that are said about him. Because if you do a quick search, Grant Cohn, Javon, Kinlaw, you scroll half a page and you instantly understand why.
They're trending on Twitter. And not just 49ers Twitter. They are trending on big Twitter everywhere. Doesn't matter the country. So ESPN may not be talking about it. Fox Sports may not be talking about it. But this is national. Because if you scroll Twitter and you go to the trending topic, which many people do in the morning when they go have their coffee, go do their business on the toilet, and they're looking through what happened, this is your newspaper. Yes. So it's bigger than that right now, right? It's gotten to that point. TMZ is involved.
Oh, yeah.
This is big.
Definitely.
But again, both sides, mistakes were made. I think the both of them, if they had to do it over again, they wouldn't do it that way.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I think that Brad is 100% correct. There is critique. There is a line going over critique, right?
Mhm.
To the point where you're making fun of someone who is trying to get himself back to a playing level, right?
Right.
Nobody wants to hear that, right?
No.
Nobody wants to look. And for all the people that are saying, well, you got to block all that out. Sure, I agree with you. I agree with you. But I have good days and bad days too. I got good days when I block all that stuff out. I'm feeling good. Sun is shining. Someone calls me a clown because I told them 2 + 2 is 4. Cool. You know what I mean? You're mad. Your day is wrong, but you're not going to ruin my day. But catch me on the wrong day, and I'm not going to be as nice about it.
Right.
So I don't know what Javon is going through personally. A lot of his backstory is the part that people are missing, what he comes from, and the way that he deals with things. And where he's from, where you deal with things, and this is, again, if he had to do it again, I'm not sure he would do it again this way. They deal with that sort of aggression that way. Okay.
Right.
So again, mistakes were made. Here we are. There was OTAs. We should be talking about, and we will. We'll talk about the things that happen at OTAs, the reports that we got, who's ahead of who's moving in what direction. Cool. We'll talk about all that. But here we are talking about this because I feel like it needs to be talked about. The breaking news is this. The breaking news is this.
Oh,
the beef is squashed. The beef is squashed. It's done. They've spoken. It's done. It's done.
It's over.
It's over.
They talked?
That's it. It's over. It's done. If you're going to continue to talk about this going forward, then you're going to give it legs that it doesn't have anymore. It's done. The two of them have spoke. It's done. You guys good? Is that what you wanted to hear? One guy, two guys realized they both made mistakes. They spoke. It's done. It is done. It's over. If you want to continue to perpetuate this and speak on it on your own, then you are doing it now on your own. It's done. You guys happy? There's your breaking news. Done.
So just so I make sure I'm hearing correctly as well as our listeners, Grant Cohn, Javon Kinlaw, since last night have connected. They've spoke. They've hashed it out, squashed the beef. Both sides have been able to express their sides, and both are moving forward with the situation.
Done, done, and done. Exactly what Brad said. The discussion has already been had. They've already spoke. Done. Finished. You want to perpetuate that now? That's on you. It's done. No one's losing their press credentials. No one's not allowed back in the building. It's done. They had a talk. Both acknowledged. They got it done. It's finished. You guys happy? Can we talk about real football, Brad?
Damn. I'm currently being distracted because George Kittle's posting about it now. And now Javon Kinlaw's just posted about it. So I hear you. I'm glad that they've talked. I'm glad that they've been able to figure it out and squash it. But I don't think the conversation is going to die
what did
down
Kinlaw
anytime
say?
soon. Like, again, Kittle, 12 minutes ago, posted a quote from Grant and once goes on to explain it. It's a lot of words. I'm not going to read it right now.
What did Kinlaw say?
We just got Daniel Brunskill posting. Oh, my God, dude. Everyone's posting about this right now, man.
What did Kinlaw say? That's all that matters. What did
Kinlaw say? Kinlaw said this 23 minutes ago. Stand firm for what you believe. Don't let no one play with the old top. 100
That's
emoji.
fine. That's fine. The discussion has been had, and that's done. It's finished in that way. They both have spoken. That's it. It's finished. It's done. Now, that just means that Kinlaw still is believing that, hey, don't write me off. He's tired of hearing that. Grant's not the only one who has said that. Other guys have said it. They just haven't said it in the way that Grant said it. But it's done. It's finished. I don't want to hear about it anymore.
I'm sorry. I'm reading what Kittle's saying, and he's going.
Is he on Twitter doing that?
No, he just posted to his Instagram story again. So The players are seemingly latching on to the particular quote about Grant saying that if Javon were to strike him, he'd be I'm paraphrasing.
Oh, you're
With
talking about what Eric Armstead
Yeah,
posted.
well, this is what Raheem Mostert's talking about it. So
Raheem Mostert talked
they're
about it.
latching
Dante
on
Pettis
to this
talked about
particular.
it. Many
Was that?
people. Dante Pettis, Raheem Mostert, many people
Yeah.
are latching onto that. Tabor Pepper, of all people, that's wild to me. But yeah,
Yeah. So, based on how I'm continuing to see, again, George is one of the main leaders of the team. Again, I see Daniel Brunskill posting about it. That's new. I didn't see that before. Uh, it just feels like this story isn't going away anytime soon. Now, I'm glad to hear that Javon and Grant have talked about it,
I know
but
they spoke. I know that for a fact. That's not something that I'm making up. That is a fact. They
right,
spoke. That portion of it. At least they've come to some sort of agreement. Now, whether
right,
that means people are going to keep talking about it, that's different. But in
okay,
terms of what has been spoken about, it's done in that regard where they have spoken. It's done in that way where he said what he had to say. He said what he had to say. They hashed it out like men, which is what they should have done last night on the live. They just did it privately, and
right,
and
right.
I
They
applaud that.
should have had a little bit better conversation last night. We wouldn't be here
I
right now.
applaud them for that. Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
obviously, lots of moving parts here. Um, Ultimately, though, with this particular situation, how do you see it resolving? How do you? Because I mean, it sounds like it's been resolved between the two, but players are still coming out, and it's of course, it's Javon said what he said, which take it for what it's worth, but you're getting a lot of kickback from players.
Well, the players are going to defend the players, and that makes sense. Why wouldn't they do that? And look, let's keep it a buck. I mean, did anybody really think that the players were enamored with Grant in any way? Right? I mean, it didn't take anybody to be an
Well, Jimmy
insider.
Ward was felt like he warmed up to Grant quite a bit.
He warmed up to it. Jimmy now is in this whole villain mode, and I
Oh,
love it. It's
he
so
straight up
good.
said
Like
that
he doesn't
yesterday.
care. Yeah, he doesn't care. Like I love that. But you don't have to be in the locker room to know that the locker room isn't exactly the biggest fan of Grant,
Right.
and that doesn't take an insider. Nobody has to know anybody to know that. So, yeah, look, they spoke about what they needed to speak about. That's all that matters. Whether they continue this on and they keep speaking, that's something different. But I know for a fact the conversation went down. It's done in that regard. But
Right.
now, if other people who weren't privy to that conversation between the two parties are going to continue on, that's fine because they're backing up their teammate. Tart said something. He's not even on the roster anymore. Raheem Mostert's in Miami. Dante Pettis is in Chicago. But again, it don't take an insider to know that this locker room isn't exactly warming up to him.
Yeah.
So I mean that part that makes sense.
Absolutely. I'm gonna try to get to some of these super chats. I've
Go for
been
it.
storing them. I'll try to rapid fire through them. We have Kaimana 7 says Debo took issue with Grant, then Javon, then Ayuk, then Armstead. Grant poops on Shanahan, Kittle, Lynch, and Parag nonstop. Time to cut out the negativity. Pause.
That's his. But look, I don't have to always agree with everyone else's methods. I don't pocket watch. I don't tell people how they need to do things. Again,
Right.
I have my discussions with the guy. We're friends. I have my discussions with the guy that I keep offline. I don't have to publicly make it known. But what he does, what I do, two different things. Don't. That's his business. That's a grown man. I'm not about to tell a grown man how
Of
to
course.
move. I'm not about to tell two
No
grown
one's
men
ever been
how to
able to
move.
tell Grant Cohn how to move. Let's
How
keep
to
it a
move.
buck.
Do your thing. Like that's it. So yeah, there you go.
Grant can say whatever he wants. Like Grant is so unique in his like what he does. Like I've talked about it. I think I talked about it to you. I've talked about it to other people. I've talked about it on lives before. Like he's just so unique. I don't think anyone else could do what Grant does. Whether you like it or you don't like it, he has a path that he has laid that is unique, and he takes advantage. He uses that wherever he needs to. Tarberius said Kinlaw saw the weakest member in the media and attacked him. No way he goes at Mayoko. Many journalists and content creators have said the same
See,
thing.
but
So
I don't
is
think
this
that.
physical thing?
No, I don't. I don't think that Mayoko ever gives off the same energy in his takes as Grant. Right?
Right.
Like Grant's done a great job of utilizing his platform and also throwing comedy into it. And sometimes that comedy comes off wrong to people that take their job very seriously. So
Right.
Matt Miyoko is very straightforward about his
Yes.
job, right? Like he's not gonna he doesn't get on
He's a
his podcast and make
he's an old school
yeah
by the book journalist.
he doesn't make jokes, anything like that. Jennifer Lee Chan very much about her business, like Matt Barrows very much about his business. Like these guys like literally are the old school way of being a beat reporter.
Right.
Grant is outside of that at this point. So I think that
Oh yeah.
he couldn't have that discussion with any of those because they don't fit into that description at that point. Man, I'm reading this Kittle stuff on his story.
Right. They're going after Grant. Like this is the you know what they're doing right now.
Yes, it's a concerted effort from the entire locker room. Now,
Yeah.
if you're a 49er fan, you love that because it shows a united front with the locker room. Okay, that's good. But man, this is some stuff here, man. Like,
Dude, this is
talking.
wild, bro. Like this is really unprecedented. Like in regards to, I've been in the content game since 2017. I've been following the team extremely closely since about 2009, 2010. I've been following the NFL since around that same time, just as closely. Again, you and I were big fantasy players, which means we have our antennas up for the entire league, not just the 49ers.
What do you mean were? I'm still out here trying to get championships.
Trust me, I'm out here. I tried to trade everything. I traded all my rookie draft picks in one league, and I'm just sitting waiting. It's the most agonizing thing ever because I can't even pick. But again, this is unprecedented. Like I've never seen this. I don't know if you've ever.
I've never seen a locker room. I've never seen a locker room rise up. Against one person, basically. So, like, real quick, I mean, I have. Did you read Kittle's thing, or should I just read it? Because I have it like right here in front of me.
Read it.
Okay. So basically, paraphrasing, it was what Grant said last night about if he touched me, I would have been set. Basically, talking about lawsuit, things like that. Okay, cool. I don't want to talk about that, but this is what Kittle said. It's crazy to me that someone who was allowed into our building has the mindset/goal to antagonize and irritate players with their end game of being this. I thought players and reporters were supposed to work together. Being in this building, let alone this league, is an opportunity. It's not a right. People get really comfortable typing behind the screen. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but continuing to go after a player habitually seems like someone whose goal isn't to report or write a story. I have to say this. I'm not in the building. I don't have, any skin in the game, anything like that. It seems like the 49ers are doing a good job of keeping the people who really, really cover this team beat reporter-wise. No. We'll be at camp, but we're not going to be there in the capacity that these people will be. I don't think that you needed to be an insider to know that this locker room probably didn't feel this way about Grant. That doesn't discredit what he brings. That doesn't discredit what what Grant offers in terms of entertainment value, which is something that a lot of people forget. And I've seen it in here. You've called other beat writers in here boring, whatever that is. So it's about taste. And I would implore people to exercise their judgment into who they give attention to. You have a choice. Everyone has a choice. You have a choice to tune into us. You have a choice not to listen to us. Some people have a choice to say, yo, Jason's a clown.
Mess to us if you really want to.
So yeah, Jason's a clown. I can't stand that guy. You got that choice. That's up to you, bro. Cool. But if you had the same choice, if you're putting energy into one thing, whether you're putting negative or positive energy, you're still putting energy into it. So I would say to anyone out there who is somewhat conflicted about this, support what you want to support, watch what you want to watch, and if you don't like it, don't pay attention to it. I don't have a real I'm trying to get better about this, about talking crazy about people that I'm not fond of. I
Right.
think you guys can kind of read between the lines of who I'm talking about. I'm done giving my platform to people that I don't feel deserve it. So in the
100%.
same way, I would implore you guys to exercise your own judgment into who you watch,
Yeah.
who you don't watch. And shout out to the people who do like us, because we wouldn't be anything without you guys.
Of
So
course.
exercise that same judgment in the same way. Doesn't necessarily mean that you need to tweet about it. Doesn't necessarily mean that you need to say anything to get some likes on Twitter, anything like that. If you truly don't like something, pay it no mind. And that's the best thing I could say.
Yeah, if I had to take like a step back, probably look at a big portion of why a lot of these players are upset. It's not only the way he goes about saying certain things. Uh, it's the sphere of influence. Because as you know, with my page, anytime I post something about a player, you're going to get every take in the world in the comment section. One of the things that I've noticed throughout the years and through watching Grant's rise is that those comments will begin to match some of his points, or you get counterpoints. So he becomes a point of emphasis in the sphere of influence. So I think we can all understand, like, Grant has absolutely earned the right to speak and say, I guess, the things that he wants to say. I think it's the influence of everyone else. It's the tidal wave of energy that comes from the things that are said, because it is palpable. You can feel it. There are examples of players being affected by it mentally. I've had conversations with players offline about the way that they get DM'd, about the way their family members get DM'd, the way that energy permeates to them. It might be said in the form of entertainment or in the form of, you know, uh, whatever, but it doesn't change the fact the sphere of influence. Like Grant is I would say, one of the first influencer slash journalists. He's in unprecedented waters. He's kind of developed something that hasn't existed before him. So as a result, this is all new. We've never seen an influencer and or journalist who can stir the pot like this and send tidal waves of energy at players. So I think that's a part of it. They feel that it comes, and it's not like him dropping into their DM. It's none of that. It's the people that take the things that he say and then go forward as such. So it's definitely interesting. Definitely feels like we're just getting started. Obviously, it's good to hear that both Javon and Grant have spoken, kind of buried the hatchet. But
Yeah.
again, we know once something's out there on the interwebs, it takes on a life of its own.
Oh, it's
It
already out there now. And now
doesn't even
people are
matter
like,
at this
oh,
point.
you lying. No, I'm not
Oh
lying,
no, I
guys.
believe it 100%.
Yeah.
It's just like we understand it doesn't. People are just like, clearly players are still talking about it. Like it's just
And
a crazy time right
and and also, just because Javon and Grant have either said what they needed to say to each other, it doesn't change the opinion of the other guys in that locker room who feel slighted in some way. And once you see the snowball effect happening, it seems like everybody is in. What does Tabor Pepper? Here's my question: has Grant ever said anything about Tabor Pepper? To have Tabor Pepper pop out and say something about Grant?
No, but
Look,
he said something about Eric Armstead,
that's
McGlinchey,
but all right. So, but again,
who are Kinlaw's like best buddies right now.
this talks about
Armstead and
this
McGlinchey.
this talks about the brotherhood that this
Yeah,
locker room is. So, if you want to take something positive away from this, is that this locker room, they all care about each other. And that's good. That's very good. And I think we should probably end the conversation here at this point. And let's talk about
yes.
the actual football that was played yesterday that was actually covered by media people, because there was football played today, no media, and the media will not be back until next week to cover the other things. So
Absolutely. How about this? How charismatic was Trey Lance yesterday when speaking of talking to the media about situations regarding talking?
listen, there is more to playing 49ers football, being the 49ers franchise quarterback, than playing on the field. That young man, as 22 years old, went up and felt like he's been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
None of it felt scripted. None of it was cliche. The man gave real answers and said all the right things. That was, I don't want to hear about, I mean, we could talk about 15 to 17 in the OTAs. That's good. It's a good percentage, Brad, right?
Uh-oh.
15 out of 17. You missed
Did you
two.
pull that from the spreadsheet, my guy?
Oh, man, even you are doing it now, man. Matt Mayoko was
Hey, once I saw
sending us-
Mayoko do it, it's fair game.
Matt Mayoko sending out shots. No,
He went
the
from the
15 to
top row.
17s.
That's
the
how you
15
know
to
it's
7
spicy, man. Players were spicy yesterday, but Trey Lance handled himself really well.
The 15 to 17 is cool, but man, that press conference, that reeked of a guy who knows it's his job, knows that the team's behind him, and believes in himself. And that was the biggest thing that I walked away from yesterday. So, yes, Trey Lance absolutely walked it, talked it like the man yesterday. That was the thing that I walked away with the most from yesterday.
He's pretty impressive, right? Like,
Yes.
again, you talked about his ability to speak to the media. Again, he's been one of the most scrutinized players, not only of the San Francisco 49ers, but in the entire NFL offseason landscape. So the fact that he was able to kind of take that in stride, handle it with, the utmost class, it was pretty impressive to see. Obviously, I call him a kid all the time, and no disrespect meant by that. I just think I'm an old person now. So it's funny to, see him just manage himself in that regard with just so much poise at his age. Justin says, who has been the most out of shape in camp so far, rookie and non-rookie?
That we don't really know.
Yeah,
I mean, I
don't
can't
know.
say. So, in the
Don't
same
know
way
that.
that I jump on the show and I tell you I'm tired of people telling me about what happened in training camp and during practices because they weren't there, I can't tell you because I wasn't there.
Right.
So I don't know, Justin. I mean, that's a fair question. I'll tell you there was a bunch of surprises in terms of pecking order of certain position groups that are going to be moving forward and certain things that we are worried about, right? Like who's going to be the other safety aside from Jimmy Ward. Talanoa Hufanga took the first team reps to start. It's OTAs.
Right.
He's the guy who knows it the most, right? Played last year. Tarvarius
Yep.
Moore's working his way back. Odom is new to this, so that makes sense. Yep. Does that mean that Hufanga is the starter? No, but it is a good indication of where they feel comfortable about who they feel comfortable playing. What was funny was JaMycal Hasty was the first running back on the field with Jeff Wilson. And does that mean that those guys, and obviously, look, Elijah Mitchell is working through, his rehab and all that stuff. So
right.
We know Elijah
Not
Mitchell
a lot of people participated from a veteran standpoint.
For sure. So this is what I'm talking about. We have stuff to talk about. It's not final, but it's hard for me to figure this out, Justin, because I wasn't there. But there are other things to talk about that are, Jake Brendel took first team center snaps. That's something I know Brad wants to talk about. That's
Aaron Banks,
that is
Jalen Moore,
Aaron Banks
at
left guard,
Justin School, starting O-line,
Justin School at right tackle. Jalen Moore at right guard. Those are the things that you kind of look at first and say, "Hey, here we go. This is a start. You can track it. If it starts this way, that's one thing. Does that mean it's going to end this way? No. But it is interesting to have these discussions now because so many of us, and look, Daniel Brunskill looked like he had a vet day, which if you look at it one way, that means he's kind of the right guard that's going to start at this point because he had a vet day. So there's a lot of things to talk about, but I can't, Justin, I can't
Yeah, I
speculate on
agree.
things that if I wasn't there, I really can't.
And it's OTAs. It's a bit of a walkthrough speed. They're are they going full speed? Are they really going through everything at 100% right now? I think it's more in the range of they're probably working about 85% in regards to. So yeah, I agree. I don't know how that situation played out in regards to who looked out of shape. But it was fun. Shout out Jackhammer. He posted a clip of the offensive line while I was on live yesterday, and we did a live breakdown of kind of seeing the exact things you're talking about. We could see kind of in the bag drills and the way they were lining up what the starting offensive line was going to be, just by how they had grouped their double to backer drills and things like that in indies. So it was cool to be able to break that down in real time. We also were able to pull a clip from North Dakota State of Trey Lance throwing the football in one of his first games and then cross referencing it to him throwing against air. We understand he's not wearing pads. He has no pass rush coming after him.
Helmetless.
He's not even throwing to a real wide receiver. He's throwing to a coach. So it's like, take it with a grain of salt. But again, it's still cool to be able to be like, oh, well, look at what Trey Lance's mechanics look like here at North Dakota and look at what they look like now. You can see they've been refined a bit. And they are a little bit faster, a little bit more compact and things like that. So it's cool to see that type of stuff. Again, we got pretty limited clips from OTA, so it wasn't a ton of stuff that we really got to dive into. But for what it's worth, we start, like you said, we started to get an idea of those types of things in regards to offensive line depth. Boy, Bleacher Report just dropped another thing. Lorenzo says, do you think Debo and Ayuk definitely wide receiver 1 and 2 by week 1?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No question. I mean, Kyle Shanahan in his press conference spoke about, I feel even greater that this Debo thing gets done. And the Ayuk thing. Oh, all right. So yeah, we're good. The conversation, I just confirmed double on this conversation that happened with Grant and Javon. So I just want to put that out there. They spoke. Okay. Doesn't matter what gets said after. They spoke. Okay. But yeah, it's absolutely Debo and Ayuk. When you hear Kyle talk about Debo saying, "Hey, or him saying it's closer than I felt it was before. I expect him at mandatory." Those things, yeah, for sure. And when you know the connection between Ayuk and Trey, yeah, absolutely, 1 and 2.
Obviously, I think for this to happen, Debo needs to get paid, kind of like you're talking about. So hopefully that happens. Hopefully Debo gets paid because it will become interesting if we head into week 1 and Debo Samuel hasn't gotten a contract extension and they ultimately end up, I guess I'm trying to think of a word other than forcing him to play on his last year of his rookie deal. Obviously, we don't want that. I don't think that's the direction that we want to head to. So hopefully, at least we are optimistic that the noise has died down. And the hope is that by training camp, we can get something done. Jesse Wade says, Brandon Ayuk sure sounded more open and comfortable. He felt like he finally belonged. Brad was nice to hear him open up at the presser.
Yeah, you know what I noticed, and I think you noticed it too. Everybody's presser felt a little bit more spicy.
Oh, palpable.
Talk about it.
I'm a big vibe guy. I scout off vibe. I try to pick up body languages as best I can. Started with Kyle. Kyle set the tone, right? Kyle got on spice. We've seen spicy Kyle, but sometimes it takes a couple annoying questions that he's already answered to get to Spicy Kyle. Spicy Kyle came out the gates. He must have been watching Spicy Aponte or
It's
something.
no. It sounded like the guy that didn't want to name his starter on the regular season. I know what we're doing, but I just don't want to tell you, especially when he's talking about Alex Mack. Like, I know we're under a time crunch, like here, because I've got to get out of here.
We got about 5 more minutes. Jason's gotta head out.
But at the same time, that was the same vibe I got. That was the same exact vibe I got. That was a guy that was fed up already, and his day one of media availability on the OTAs. That was funny, man. It was so good. I'm actually happy. You know what? I don't want this team to be happy. You know why? This team was this close.
I don't want them
doing what they wanted to do. Yeah, I don't want you to be happy. Don't be happy. And I don't want to hear about revenge tours. Don't start that. What revenge I'm talking about
2.0, baby.
Don't give us Christ, man. Don't give us mantras. Don't give us what you're gonna do. Yeah, be mad and go and get it. That's all I'm worried about. Go and get it and be mad and know that your team is that close, especially when you consider the franchise came in and was looking like a guy who has been there for 8 to 10 years. So, yeah, I don't want to hear about, revenge tours, mantras, anything like that. But that attitude, that's what I'm talking about. Go for it.
Absolutely. Gammon says, on a positive note, thank you, Brad, for giving me the opportunity to write on your Facebook page. Jason, thank you for responding to my emails and providing feedback. Hey, we're man of
new mod on the channel. Let's go, man. You better respect that, man. You better watch
mods,
out.
Baby.
Mods, baby.
To the moon. And you know how it is. People be wilding in the chat. So we appreciate the mods always. Sure. So shout out the mods. Jesse waits. Sorry for the bread emoji. Was just me shouting out the SDS. I thought that's what I thought, but I was like, how is he working this into the sentence? But I hear you, Jesse. I appreciate you, man. Definitely caught me off guard there a little bit. Jerome says, good. Now let's talk about how dumb the other NFC West teams suck. Kyler Murray, is he showing up? Is he going to be there? What's the NFC West going to look like?
That don't matter, man. I mean,
we got too many problems in our territory.
Not even that. I've had Cardinal fans talking about the Rams are our only competition. The Cardinals' competition is November and December because you be getting jumped by November and December. All of a sudden in November and December, you turn into a JV squad. You know what's the best part? They're going to be on Hard Knocks in season. We get to watch them break apart in real time. Cardinals fans.
That's something to look forward
that's watching. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That's pretty damn funny. Let's see. What else do we have here? Mike says, if Kinlaw wasn't eating and he had a dip in his mouth instead.
Oh, because the whole time that he was speaking, he had, it felt like he had a mouthful of food.
I was like, swallow, my boy.
Or it's just like, hey, man, before I hop on, just give me a sec. Let me get this down and we'll talk, But, yeah, that was something that was definitely a little bit distracting during that. A little bit.
I mean, look, the whole thing was a bit distracting, but you know how it goes. Anyways, it's been an eventful. Like we glossed over OTAs. That's how
we did. Maybe we got to do this. Maybe we got to do this. All right, look, real quick. Brendel started at center. Aaron Banks perfect at left guard. That's what we thought. Right guard, that was a little bit. Give me real quick. Jalen Moore at right guard. That's a little bit of a shocker at this point. But keep in mind, Daniel Brunskill, vet day, which implies a guy who is starting one way or another. Go.
Right. So my whole thing is again, Mayoko kind of tipped it off, and I know I've seen the discourse on Jalen Moore on Twitter about it, but it was funny. Jack Hammer posted a clip, and Jalen made a little mistake, and we were watching it live in real time. Gave up the coaching point. Why the drill wasn't done properly. The coach came back and then did the exact same things we were coaching up, and we're just like, there you go. But again, it's just proof like it's going to be a transition for Moore to play guard. It's going to take some time. Some of the things that you would think come along, as something that is, part of the job. He's learning for the first time. He's been a tackle. So that's going to be something that he's going to have to develop on. It was funny kind of watching it in real time. But we broke that down. I hope he does well. I hope he can solidify that spot again. Could be a competition for Brunskill. You guys know how I feel about Brunskill. I don't think it's much of a competition, but we'll see. We'll see. That's what training camp's for. And if Jalen Moore comes out, looks like a stud, unseats the Brunny, hey, I'll eat my crow.
Good
But
problem to have.
up until now, I still believe it's Brunskill
I think so too.
and Trent are like the locked-in starters. Of course, we're tempering expectations of McGlinchey. Just want to see him in camp before we even give an evaluation on him. And then who's going to be at center? Who's going to be at guards? It's going to be interesting to see. But that's why training camp can't get here literally any sooner. So also too, Brunskill, from the reports of Shanahan, I guess has knee tendonitis. So I thought it was a vet day. Sounds like there could be a little injury concern or flare up. So we'll
At
see.
this point, he doesn't need to be at OTAs. Like
No.
be at mandatory minicamp. That is even feels like if you kind of show up, cool. But be a training camp. That's it. Just be a training camp when you do the installs, all that stuff that really matters, in my opinion.
And that's kind of the way it was last year. We had 3 season-ending injuries, damn near 2.5, and it was just like, man, just get through, and get out and get to training camp. So we'll see, but definitely plenty of stuff to talk about, all that good stuff. Of course, you got another pod coming up.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be on the 49K pod with Steph Sanchez. If you want to hop over there and yell at me some more, since I don't know, like I've been looking in the comments, you guys are ripping me apart, man. This is wild. Yeah, I'll be on
Hey,
over
we're
there.
always
Just make
catching
sure
trades, bro.
you follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. Hit the sub on both our channels. Hit the like on both these videos. It helps us out a great deal. Join the Spicy Squad, so we can do the call-in shows and everything. Appreciate all of you guys. And go Niners. We have actual football to talk about, but we had to get all that other stuff out of the way, and I feel like we did a good job of that. So yeah, way to go,
Yeah,
Brad.
obviously, it's been a wild ride. We'll see what
Make me a
continues
bicycle,
to.
Aponte. Why are you yelling at me, B-Mac? Why are you yelling at me, B-Mac?
So we'll see. We'll see how everything continues to play out. Oh, we got one.
Go take this one last one from Justin real quick.
It says with Brunskill and more potential starters on the right side, who has the higher risk of penalty holding, etc., given Lance's ability to move in the pocket? I say everyone's going to have to adjust to that.
And I think that's the problem. Is it's hard to dictate what we think about who's going to be starting because of the play style being completely different. A lot of what Jimmy Garoppolo does is just quick timing and things like that. You don't really have to block for too long because the ball's got to be out of there in 2 seconds, right? Now, Trey Lance has the ability to shake out of the pocket, do other things. So that's the important part that I think that I want to implore to people when it comes to watching this offensive line group, especially when you get a chance to look at them in preseason games and things, is that they do have to work through all that stuff. So, I'll pass it to you real quick. And then,
Yeah, and I mean, it could go higher, it could go lower theoretically because of Trey Lance's ability to escape the pocket. I think one of the things that we've seen from Trey Lance is his ability to have pocket awareness. So that can actually help out offensive linemen a bit. So it will be interesting to see who, I guess, holds the most. But again, there's holding on every single play as an offensive lineman. Are you getting caught because your hands are getting outside, or like we've seen in the past when McGlinchey was trying to block towards a hole against Arizona, and it was supposed to be going off his hip, and Trey bounced outside, which forces the defender to vacate where the hole was supposed to be, and then he basically pulls away from McGlinchey, and then you see this. Like, that's just a part of angles and, going kind of in the wrong spot. So we'll see. That's what training camp's for. So we'll be able to get more insight into that once we get out there.
the chat was just as lit as you predicted. The chat was just as lit as you predicted before we got on the show, man.
Bro, the
It's
chat's
so good,
freaking
man.
lit. So I'm sure. Hey, go over to 49er podcast. Jason Aponte is about to go pop over there. Make sure you go drop in. I think I was on Steph's pod a week or 2 ago. Go drop in, go shoot her a sub, and keep the vibes immaculate. All right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
We don't have to come at each other's neck over things like that. We just talk about it. We can have differentiating opinions and things like that. Without everyone catching strays left and right. So
I've
it's
been
going to
catching
be
strays, man. This chat is like even on my own channel. It's just like they're like bah bah bah. I was like, damn, man, what I do,
hey, bro,
bro?
I'm catching strays too. I was like, whoa. I was like, dang. I was like, all right, okay. I see you. I was like, I see you. But
Hey, look, remember we talked about good days and bad days? Today's a good day. It's all right, man. I'll be all right.
yeah,
Be all
it's
right.
all right. So again, make sure to go hop over. Jason's going to keep this thing rolling. I might hop on later as well. So hey, the storm continues of the 49ers offseason. Just when we thought it started to subside a little bit, we got some football. Nope. So we'll continue to see how everything plays out. Obviously, a lot more to unfold. But hey, we're here and we're going to talk about it. So until next time, Jason. Hopefully,
Let's go Niners.
it's amazing what happens in these weeks. Like we go
Right.
just every Wednesday, and it's amazing the things that come up in 7 days. So who knows where we're going to be in
I
7
need to
days?
move into my new spot. Maybe the vibes will change. I need to move into my new spot. Maybe this team won't
Please,
give us so much
please find
like
us new vibes.
crazy things to talk about it. But yeah, shout out to y'all.
Appreciate everyone again. Sub to both channels. Go easy on each other. All right,
Yeah,
don't rip each other apart. We're all 49er
yeah,
fans at the end of the day. Let's remember
for sure.
that. Let's move forward and try to lift each other up through these times. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Peace.